So for those who have been with us on a Sunday, you would realize that Sheldon has been trying to get us to own his acronym ADD, AD. As a means of helping us to remember the GFC mission statement, he keeps on saying, we need to add ADD. Our mission statement is adoring, displaying, and declaring Jesus in the Caymanas Estates and beyond. So in my quest as a supportive wife, I'm going to use his same acronym to describe him to you. ADD, adventurous, determined, and diligent. Now, many of you may not describe Sheldon as adventurous by nature, since he tends to be more of a homebody. But when it comes to accomplishing the will of the Lord on his life, he will go anywhere for the gospel. It is because of this sense of adventure to seek God's purposes that the little Campbell family, early in marriage, with a baby in hand, traveled the world ministering in over 9 nations, including India, Germany, and Greece. Despite his great disdain for the cold, Sheldon braved various winter seasons in his big black jacket that swallowed him whole. All of this, not for his own gain, but for the sake of the call of God on his life. And so the Campbell journey began with great adventures, but it didn't stop there. Determined. Some of you have already heard the story that Sean mentioned, that while we were in missions, Sheldon's heart was stirred for the pastoral ministry, and so he sought a means to be trained. He found out about the Sovereign Grace Pastors College, and without hesitation, he reached out to them on how he could apply. Little did they know that even after being told that only those who are sent by a church in Sovereign Grace can attend the Pastors College, Sheldon was still determined to keep pushing until he got a yes. This determination has been clear in all areas of our lives. Whatever Sheldon believes the Lord is leading him to, he's going to pursue it. The word no just does not exist in his vocabulary when he has a strong sense of God's leading in a particular area. Mark Prater, who is here, can attest to this. He was an integral part of this fabulous story of Sheldon pushing his way through to Sovereign Grace, and it was definitely the Lord's doing. Diligent. Maybe Sheldon's most well-known quality is his diligence. Would you agree? I call him a professional student, but truly, he has a passion for learning and achieving in academia. It was this diligence that helped him to complete his tedious master's program in theology while attending the even more rigorous Pastors College when we were in Kentucky. It required several sleepless nights and very long hours in front of the laptop. Many of his fellow PC students and the pastors in Louisville thought he was quite crazy to attend this, but he made it through by God's grace. And now he is pursuing his PhD in church history. His diligence is evident to all, so much so that our 7-year-old son is already determined to do a master's program at the Caribbean Graduate School of Theology, where Daddy works. In continuing my ADD train of thought, I realized that not only does Sheldon adore, display, and declare Jesus as our mission says, and not only is he adventurous, determined, and diligent, but Sheldon also adds great value to our family. He adds considerable support to the elders and members of Grace Family Church, and he adds tremendous wisdom to his workplace and every area that he gets involved in. Congratulations, Shells. We are so proud of you. And myself and our boys, we commit to praying for you, praying with you, to walking alongside you, and loving you through each season that the Lord will bring us.
Reflecting on a scripture in Galatians 2:20. Here Paul writes, I have been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live in the flesh. I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. You know, as I think of many of the questionable persons in Scripture that God uses, I am comforted by the fact that He does miracles. You know, God changes and transforms lives. Now, when I consider my shortcomings and failures, it is so good that I have a triune God who is the hero of my story and is continually working on me. Listen, you have to understand, you know, if you know where I'm coming from, Shane is because I don't understand. Shane is my twin brother. For those who and a lot of people sometimes just see Shane and wonder if it's me. But if you know where Shane and I are coming from, trust me, God has done a remarkable work. But as I continue to think about that, I mean, just, Maurice, just think about it. God the Father sent His Son, Jesus Christ, over 2,000 years ago to save me, because He knew that Sheldon Kirk Johannes Campbell would rebel from Him, wanting to do my own thing. But in His kindness, God has saved me. He has given me a spirit and a desire to help others to come to know Him and to mature in Him through the preaching, the teaching, and the sharing of God's Word. I am so grateful to God. You know, getting God's kindness and mercy to me again, He has also given me a family. Right now I'm talking about my wife Sarah, my boys, you see Elijah here, Isaiah over there who wants to a master's degree. I certainly did not know. Is it the master's in theology or counseling psychology? We can talk about that later. Promo. But when you think about it, Sarah mentioned some of the journey, but this, you know, this idea of going to Pastor's College, very similar to what Ruthman talked about with Sean, selling everything, ending up in Louisville, starting over. You have to understand something. This wasn't the first time I did this to Sarah. So after that time, she's like, listen, this man just have every minute starting over, selling everything. But I thank God for Sarah. I know she was kicking and screaming the first time we went to Germany, and many of you from Christian Life Fellowship would have remembered that, but God was faithful. And you know, we never thought that in our wildest dreams that we could have even interned in Jacksonville, but again the church was so instrumental in that. And then now we're here and we're Grace Family Church. And my family has just been journeying along the way. You heard about how I was doing my master's at the time when I was in Louisville. And my boys and my wife, it's that sacrifice. I want you to realize, you know, a lot of the time when they're supposed to be having daddy time, I am also studying. And I want to say this publicly because one of the things I don't want to have, there are too many pastors' kids that they're a casualty of ministry. And I want you to hold me accountable to this, because I have to be mindful of this. Because as Sarah says, I am a professional student. I love to study. I've already started talking about my second doctorate right now, and Sarah's not very happy about it. So keep me accountable. But I thank Isaiah and Elijah and Sarah for the sacrifices that you have made. I don't even know what more to say about that. I also want to recognize just encouragements from my mother, my twin brother Shane, who I've mentioned. I have two other siblings, you may not know them. My sister Marsha, who lives overseas, I'm older brother. I've been able to do all of this is because of even what Sean mentioned, community. Community is very important, and I just want to thank your family. And even my extended family. I see here my uncle and my aunt, Auntie Pauline, and cousin Christopher, and just our family. I know they're always here. They didn't even tell me they were coming. I'm so surprised. Thank you for coming. I also want to thank, I'm telling you, this morning I'm going to try to list out everybody. I know that's crazy to do, but I'm going to try. I want to thank the Bains, Joel and Sam, and Sean and Ruth and family, as we have journeyed together as a pastoral team. Listen, a lot of times people on pastoral team, and they may not necessarily like each other, you know. But because God, you know, just like how you didn't choose the family that you were born in, a lot of times the Lord brings people on even a pastoral team, and you may not necessarily like each other. But it's just amazing that we can say that we were friends and that we like each other. More than love, you know. Joel hugged me a while ago and said, but listen, we like each other. And I thank God for that. And I pray if God continues to bless us that He would send persons who would add to our team who we would also like each other. But I just want to say it didn't end there. It didn't end, even though I talked about that strong relationship which we have as a pastoral team, which has helped to, what's the word, almost like bolster us in this taxing, I think that's a proper word, in this process of church planting. In God's grace, He has also sent us, and I want to call them their names, an excellent core team. I think of Vance and Jessica Johnson. I think of Norbert and Katie, and even little Zoe, who is 20 months old. I think of Patrick, who drives from Mandeville every Sunday to come here. Thank you. Thank you. Listen, that's not normal. That's not normal. Additionally, I want to thank all men and women in our Sovereign Grace churches that have been integral in the process leading up until today. And again, as I said, I'm going to list out names. Emil and Donna Gabidon. I don't know if you're hearing this, but I wanted to mention it. Mark and Jill Prater, who are here, our executive director and his wife. Thanks again for taking the time to be with us today. Richardson, I mean, many of you might not even remember the journey, but he was integral. He's the director for global missions. He was integral in this process. Cedric and Alexine Moss from the Bahamas, they sent their greetings last night, saying they're sorry that they are not here. Aaron and Kristen Law from Jacksonville Church, which you heard about earlier, they also sent their greetings. Joe and Rhonda Calabello, also from that church in Jacksonville where Sarah and I interned. Keith Collins, our regional director. Thank you so much, Keith. Thank you. And listen, Keith does not like all over Florida. He would literally drive from New Orleans to Florida. So the fact that he's here in Jamaica, clap him. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Keith. Thank you. I want to thank the elders of Sovereign Grace Church in Louisville, Kentucky. They were also elders, but they also served in the Pastors College. I want to call it by name: Jeff and Julie Purswell, CJ and Carolyn Mahaney, Bob and Julie Coughlin, Gary and Betsy Rikuchi, Brian and Christine Chesmore, and all my fellow classmates in the Pastors College. Listen, there's so much memories as I call their names. I'm sure Joel and Sam, Ruth and Sarah, Sean, all of us can think. Listen, if I've missed out on anyone in our family of churches that have played a critical role in this process, forgive me. I know I was taking a chance by trying to list out names. But I also want to thank my friends. There's so many friends here. I look, I see my former pastors from Christian Life Fellowship. I see Nopamo Benjamin and Sister, and from all different walks of life. Friends, co-workers. Thank you again, my boss, as they mentioned earlier, David Corbin and his wife. And just thank you for coming here. Finally, I see I'm coming down. I want to thank the members of this church for trusting God and through having the faith to entrust yourself to me. I want you to remember how I started. God sometimes uses just people you would never expect. So trusting yourself to me as one of your pastors. This is an extreme privilege that I will not take lightly. It is indeed a sobering and humbling situation too. Thank you. Amen.